Hey everyone, I'm Joey.
And I'm Rachel, and this is Good Things to Watch with Joey and Rachel, a podcast with two pals who watch a lot of movies and TV. We'll be taking a deep dive into our favorite films and shows and sharing insights as to what you should be watching too.
Today, we're going to be talking about the road from Karate Kid to Cobra Kai, what we love, what we think can be done better, and everything in between.
Just a word of warning, these episodes will contain spoilers, so if you haven't seen any of the films or Cobra Kai, what are you waiting for? Go watch it all and then come back.
Yeah, for cereal. Rachel, I had to watch a little recap of the series in general to kind of get ready for this. It's been a couple of weeks since I've watched Cobra Kai. How about you? When's the last time you saw it?
I only saw it during that first run through fairly recently, but not immediately recently.
I feel like I've been really bogged down with all these scary movies, Halloween, like time, things of that nature, and a couple other good shows that I've been rewatching. So I've been a little bit out of the Cobra Kai loop, but I'm pretty excited for season 3 and to get back into it and to talk about with you tonight. I guess why don't we just get into it and talk about Karate Kid? We said we're going to talk about Karate Kid to Cobra Kai, so I think we should probably start talking about how we started with Karate Kid. Now, would you like to dive into that one first?
Sure. The first one I saw when it came out when I was young. My mom took me to see that one. We loved Ralph Macchio from The Outsiders. And of course, my mom was really into Patrick Swayze, but we went to see Ralph Macchio, this whole karate thing. We're totally into it. Loved every second of it. And I believe I probably saw it more than once. I have memories of seeing it more than once in the theater. So that was my start to it.
Was he a heartthrob back then, Rachel? Would you say that Ralph Macchio was sought after?
He was considered a heartthrob. He was center on all the teeny bopper magazines, Tiger Beat and everything else. He was all in those.
That's so funny because I heard them talking about it in Stranger Things, and there's a poster of Ralph Macchio, and they're like, "You don't know the Karate Kid?" And I guess, excuse me, I don't really remember the first time I saw it. I think we were talking about it a week ago, and I said something along the lines of, I just have it kind of in my memory, especially the first two. And I was too young, so I didn't really realize that this kid was like a freaking rock star with these movies. And I never realized like girls like swooned over him.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Ever since he was in Outsiders, he was a thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about the Karate Kid? I know we talked about this too, and especially with Cobra Kai being a thing now, it's such a hot topic again that what your perception of the Karate Kid was, because a lot of people have different feelings about it today than they did when it first came out. So how do you feel now versus back then?
You know, it's so interesting because when you love a movie, you kind of expect to feel the same way about it many years later. And I do still love it, but I look at it with adult eyes now. So I see things now that I didn't quite pick up on back then. Because back then it was all, Daniel is the underdog, take out the bully, and you see Daniel kind of with his roots, the tough New Jersey kid, and how he handles Johnny, and you see him start to instigate things. Now back then I was all, yes, Daniel, get him, show Johnny, show Johnny he can't do that to you. And now I look back at it and I'm just kind of like, did you really need to soak him with water while poor Johnny's vulnerable on the throne? I mean, not that I really think that Johnny wouldn't have kept messing with Daniel anyway, but he really didn't need to add to it. He just kind of put fuel on the fire.
Was Johnny was he just using the bathroom in that scene? I know that's kind of a little sidetrack here, but was he using the bathroom? Was he doing drugs or something in that? Because I feel like it was something nefarious when he was in that bathroom.
I don't quite recall at the moment, and I should because I just watched the first one again, a couple months ago, but I don't exactly recall.
Or maybe
Maybe
he could have been
somebody can
playing
let
with
us know in the comments.
somebody. Let us know in the comments what Johnny was doing. I feel like it could have been like a techie type thing, because I feel like in the 80s they're always playing with some sort of tech or whatever that they had at the time. But I don't remember. I remember, but I remember seeing that. I'm like, why is he in there? Like, what's going on? And like, is he doing drugs in there or something like that? I definitely, I know what you're saying about when you're watching a movie now versus then, you're kind of almost disappointed with what's happened to it or your perception of it. I know there's like a lot of kiddie movies. For me specifically, a lot of Disney Channel original movies. When I go back on Disney Plus to watch them, I'm like, oh, perhaps that wasn't my best taste back then. But I think for the Karate Kid, especially for the first two, they really hold up for me. I like the topic of, is Daniel the villain? I kind of am the type of guy who, if I was being beat up or preyed upon like that, I see why he soaked him. I see why he wanted to get him back, because he's like, that guy was a jerk to him in the beginning. But I definitely see that point more now. But I would say Karate Kid 1 and 2 definitely hold up for me. I wouldn't say the same about the third. I don't know. I don't care for the third as much.
Well, it's kind of like how I feel about the second one. The second one was another one. My mother took me to see that one, but then I do have clear memories of seeing it with friends after that. So it was another one that I saw multiple times in the theaters. And I think that maybe they kind of corrected the course with that in the second one, because Daniel really didn't instigate anything. You had a true villain in Chosen.
Yeah, and Chosen was interesting too, because it wasn't just about, it was such a different relationship between Daniel and Chosen versus Daniel and Johnny. And that's something I love about Cobra Kai in general. And I think we just got to get to that soon. Is their relationship is really interesting. And I feel like it's something I was not really aware of, because I don't think the Karate Kid dives too much into it. But by looking at Chosen's relationship with Daniel, that dude is out to kill him. And I know it's a very different culture, and to be dishonored over there is something really that's a lot bigger of a deal
That
than
is
it
true.
over here. But he was out to hurt Daniel and Mr. Miyagi the whole movie. And I think he was it's kind of the story of, you were overtaken by revenge, I would say. He was so poisoned by himself, he didn't come back. But Johnny, at the end of the movie, Johnny has that, the first one has that moment where he says, "You're all right, LaRusso." And it kind of acknowledges that he's not the horrible kid you thought he was.
Right, right. That has actually always confused me though, because you did see the respect from Johnny to Daniel at the end of the first one, but then that respect disappears by the time you get to Cobra Kai.
I see that. But I also could have seen it as Johnny had a string of bad luck maybe with his life after that, because he was still the bully the whole, well, depending on which theory you follow, Johnny was the villain of the Karate Kid. But I don't know. I feel like maybe he could have had a life of disappointment, and maybe he sat on that and sat on that anger towards Daniel. And like right in the moment, we saw that little brief light of him. And you know what, Rachel? If he didn't have that little moment, I don't know that we would have Cobra Kai today.
Yep, that's absolutely true. But let's also not forget that the true villain is Kreese,
Oh, crazy!
not
So
just Johnny. Because if you look back, now of course, as an adult now, and as a kid, I didn't see this, but I see it now. Johnny was abused by Kreese. He
mm-hmm.
was he was abused by him, and he was trained to work like that.
Yeah, yeah, and Kreese is the only villain to show up in the entire original trilogy, um, which is kind of interesting in itself, because it's like he's this recurring villain. And I think when I watched Cobra Kai the first time through both seasons, and I saw him come back. I was a little soap opera-y for me. I was kind of like, Curb Your Enthusiasm, like, didn't need him. But after thinking about it and talking about it, it does make sense that he showed back up. I mean, he's got, what's funny too? I think that scene in part 2, in the beginning of the movie, where he's fighting, he's fighting Johnny, Kreese is fighting Johnny in the parking lot because he failed him. I feel like that is one of the most popular scenes of all 4 movies. And it's such a quick thing, and it's only in the beginning of the second. Everyone, I feel like, thinks it's in the first movie.
Right, because it's a direct continuation.
Yeah. Having said that, do you want to talk about the next Karate Kid a little
bit? I do, because I think it gets such a bad rap, and I actually gave it a bad rap for many years until recently I watched it again, and I was like, you know what? This is actually good. It's a different spin. It's more like the continuing adventures of Mr. Miyagi rather than a direct sequel. But I really think that it was pretty good. You had a new villain. You didn't have Cobra Kai coming back. You didn't have Kreese coming back. You just had a whole new setup.
I like, I don't mean to be this guy, but I like the 4th one just fine. I like it better than the 3rd one, honestly. And I don't like the villain. I don't like in the 3rd one. I don't like the bad boy of karate. I thought Terry Silver, he could come back, but he was so 90s with that ponytail and, that dastardly ponytail. It was very, very 90s. And there was just something about it. I didn't like Daniel turning ugly or bad. I didn't like that. I didn't believe either that he would turn over to the other side. And I think it just got a little bit too repetitive for me. Like, another tournament. That should keep these guys away from him and stop bothering. Like, Kreese is a 50-year-old man bothering a teenager. It's crazy. But the 4th one, I think what I like about it is, like you said, it's like Adventures of Mr. Miyagi. And I think it kind of takes the idea of the first one of just a kid who's being bullied or being kind of oppressed by a group and, learning how to defend themselves. Because it takes the idea of the Karate Kid and just puts it back into, like, yeah, anyone could have this kind of problem. Anyone could do it. And I feel like that's why the 2nd, 3rd one made Daniel's son a little bit too grandiose for that 4th one, or maybe that's what it was. The 3rd one was like a little ridiculous. I'm like, how many situations is this kid gonna get in?
Right. I mean, in the 3rd one, they really disconnected from the heart of the first 2, which is Daniel and Miyagi working together. And taking that away really kind of made the movie hollow in a way. And I know that you were supposed to feel the disconnect, but I think they did too good of a job with it, maybe, because it kind of took me out of the whole movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too. I definitely felt that too. I didn't like that Miyagi was upset with him. I didn't like that Miyagi also didn't want to train him, and I understand why. But I think that it was almost forced. Like, Miyagi would have helped him. I think naturally would have helped him. But I really like Hilary Swank. I like that it's a girl. I think that was kind of it was ahead of its time, because that's something more you'd see now.
Right.
Which, in movies in general, is like kind of just wild to think about, that it was progressive that the main character was a female doing karate in the 4th one in the late 90s. Or no, wait, was it 95?
94.
Something around there. 94, right. But yeah, kind of funny, but really cool that it was. I don't know if it was Hilary Swank's first movie. I feel like it was, but it was cool to see her in that. I thought they had good chemistry. I liked the monastery that they go to. I thought that was kind of fun. And also, I think in terms of Cobra Kai, it makes me excited because I feel like Hilary Swank could come by into the series and do it if she wanted.
I was going to talk to you about that. First, I'm going to just stick in a fun little fact, though, is
Your
that
fun.
the place that served as the monastery in
Uh,
Karate Kid 4, I didn't realize until I watched it recently that I was there last summer when I was doing
okay.
the filming locations for another movie,
Which movie was it that you're looking
Flowers
for?
in the Attic.
Oh, it's the same place?
Yes, it is the same place.
Oh, get out of town.
I was standing in those same spots and I'm like, oh my God, I was there.
Are they remaking Flowers in the Attic again? I feel like they are.
Lifetime Channel already did.
That's what I was thinking of then. Silly. That movie should have just been left alone. One of those.
As much as I love the movie, it did
Mhm.
not follow the book very closely, and the Lifetime Channel ones did. They
Yeah.
followed it a little more closely, actually a lot closer. They just weren't very good films.
Yeah, it's also like a sad movie it's a terribly sad movie.
It is.
Uh, but to go back into our fun
Right.
movies over here.
Oh, but yes, you brought up Hilary Swank.
Yeah, tell me what were we gonna say?
Well, I was gonna say that's what they should sneak in for Cobra Kai. Let's face it, I loved. I wouldn't say okay. Let's not say loved. I really liked her latest show, which was Away on Netflix.
Yeah,
But they didn't renew it. So as far as I know, she's free, maybe to
yeah.
come in and
Has a good
give Daniel
relationship.
that little boost that he needs.
Yeah, he says something along the lines of, "It's been a while since Cobra Kai or since Miyagi Do Karate had more than one student." I'm curious. Do you think Danielson ever met Julie?
I don't know. That's a good question. I guess I hadn't really thought about that. Probably not because it was separate coasts, but that is an interesting thought. Maybe somewhere along the line they did.
She was on the East Coast.
Right.
I'm curious because Daniel definitely kept a relationship with him based on what we see in Cobra Kai. So we can assume that they've kept in touch throughout his entire life. But I'm curious if Julie did too, because of Mr. Miyagi having that type of effect on people. But I think Hilary Swank definitely a higher end actress than anyone on that show and anyone who's ever really been involved with the Karate Kid. However, she doesn't strike me as somebody who would be, and I'm using air quotes here for anyone who's listening, too good to be in it. I think she'd be open to doing it.
I think so too. I mean, I don't, granted, I don't know her, but she kind of seems like the type that would be all into, hey, at least for a cameo, one episode, give us something. Give us
Hey,
something, Hillary. If you're out there, Hillary, just give us something.
you gave us Amelia Earhart, and the least you could do for us now is come back into Cobra Kai. I mean, come on.
She's amazing. I have a girl crush on Hilary Swank. I really do. I love everything that she does. I can't think of one thing that I've seen her in that I didn't like.
She's got an enchanting smile to her, and I think that's something that really draws you into her. And she's just a fantastic actress. I I don't think Hilary Swank nowadays has enough roles. I feel like something happened between like PS I Love You and now, or like the 2010s and now, where she kind of fell off the radar. But she can come back and do whatever the heck she wants. She's fantastic.
She gets me to watch movies I wouldn't normally watch. I mean, I know I'm not like really like a rom-com type person. I mean, I will watch one occasionally. And not that PS I Love You is a rom-com, because it's really not, but I'm just not really drawn to that kind of movie.
Yeah.
But I decided to see it because, Hillary's in it. So
Yeah.
why not? And it turns out that I loved that movie very much.
Yeah.
So she just kind of like draws me to everything.
Yeah, and it's interesting too because I think something that makes her really stand out from the rest of the cast of the Karate Kids as well is Ralph Macchio definitely was a big actor from when he was a kid, and Zach what's Zach's last name? Johnny Lawrence's real name, I forget.
Oh, William Zabka.
William Zabka, that's it. Sorry. But I think she had such a prominent career after she was a child already. You know, she was an adult actress, and Ralph Macchio really stepped back for a while. Um, so yeah, I'd be curious. I'd be curious to see their chemistry. I don't think he's particularly even that good now. I honestly think he got worse as an actor. Um, I honestly don't know if I watch it for Daniel Cobra Kai. I mean, sorry to just jump in there, but I think I don't know. I watch it more for Miguel. I watch it for Johnny himself. Um, Johnny's son, whose name I'm drawing a blank on for
Robbie.
some reason. Robbie. Um, Daniel, I don't think is my favorite character on the show.
You know, I am totally with you there. I am a total Johnny person. I really have enjoyed Johnny's journey.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's so different about Cobra Kai is that a lot of reboots I don't think would be as successful because you love a movie so much that you'd love to see a continuation. But what happens is when you have a continuation, the characters have to grow and they have to have drama, and so you're not always you want to remember them as they were. But in this case, the role reversals that they have done, the growing and not growing that these two have done, and where they are in their lives, it's really interesting to see where they've both ended up.
You know, I think the show has a lot to thank for the. So I think that something that happened between Karate Kid and specifically Karate Kid now is the examination of the bad guy. I mean, not to say that anti-heroes haven't always been a thing. Like you got like Catwoman, William Money, Boba Fett, any of those guys who are kind of playing both sides. But there has never been so much attention to villains. But now we have The Sopranos, we have Dexter, we have the Joker's got his own movie now. So I think the idea of looking into bad guys or who we perceived as bad guys is popular now. And I think that's what makes it so interesting. And I'm a fan for it. I am totally behind it because I don't like that. I mean, definitely there are cool movies and stuff that has like, you know, the bad guy wields the red lightsaber and the good guys wield the blue. But it's really interesting to see Johnny climb out of the pit of the bad guy character, you know, and learn more about him and see more reasons of why he acted the way he did. And you saw tiny little hints of it in the movie, I think, especially the first movie. But I think he was the only villain that you do get that with. I think all the others you kind of are just all bad. But it's cool to see that arc for him, and you're rooting for him. And I feel like you also root for Robbie and Miguel to not become him and Daniel 2.0.
Right, right, and that's my worry with them where they're at now.
I don't know that, Rachel. I don't know. I mean, spoiler alert again to anyone who's listening and has gotten this far into this podcast without turning it off to avoid spoilers. But I don't see how Miguel is going to be cool with Robbie after he almost probably broke the kid's back.
Right. And is this experience going to change Miguel or is it going to make him angrier? That's what I want to know. And but the same for Robbie, is he going to take this and be like, oh man, I screwed up? Or is he going to take this and internalize it and kind of push everybody away and be angry? I mean, now would be a good time for him to reconnect really with Johnny and let them both figure this out.
It's really sad because they're both such good kids. I'm afraid because Miguel showed mercy and he said sorry. He even said sorry before, you know, he let him go. And I think it was just a second too late, but I'm curious what's going to happen now that he showed him mercy, apologized, and tried to build a bridge and basically got spat in his face, you know, and I wonder if he's going to go bad, but I really hope he somehow rises above it. I love good Miguel, and it breaks my heart watching that kid do bad things because of what he was taught by his sensei.
Right. I mean, look at one of my favorite characters. One of my standout characters is Eli slash Hawk. That guy he's amazing. In one
Oh,
episode, he makes me feel so much for him as Eli. You know, this downtrodden kid who's got this, you know, this disfigurement, you know, and he's picked on for it. And cut to a little while later, and he's Hawk, and he's brutal, and he makes you not like him at all, makes you want to smack him. This Jacob Bertrand, that's the actor who plays him, he's phenomenal. Yeah. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what he's going to do now, because he's total crease.
Yeah, he's total crease. The kid is fantastic. That actor is fantastic, because I truthfully, even the first couple episodes, he's almost so under the radar that you don't even want to notice him, or not that you don't want to notice him, but you just don't even see him there almost. I mean, you see his disfigurement, you then have a couple scenes about it, and you feel for him. It's kind of like, oh, I wonder how long this kid will be in the series. And then he's like one of the most exciting characters. Granted, annoying. I don't care for the little hawk sound effect that they put in every single scene before he shows up. You're like, oh, is Miguel gonna? It's like, no, oh, it's Hawk. Oh, silly me. How did I not think that? However, I really like him a lot. I love the story about him having the scar from his hair lip, and that it stinks because it's almost like painful to watch, because you know it's not his fault. And you know he was bullied for however long to become this thing. And that's the fun thing about this show. And I think one of the best things about the show in general is that it's talking about tortured souls in a way, and people who have really been through it, and I guess haven't been given a chance by other people just because they're a little different.
Right. And that, of course, goes all the way back to Karate Kid.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
I love Hawk. I love Miguel. I love Robbie. I really, really love Mrs. LaRusso. Can we talk about her? Because she's fantastic.
You know, it's so funny, because when I saw her, my eyes bugged out, because I knew that I knew her from somewhere. And I'm not sure how to say her last name, so I don't really want to mangle it. It's Courtney Hengler. I'm sorry, Courtney, if you're out there. I don't want to screw it up. But she played Sheldon's twin sister on Big Bang Theory. And I think it was just one episode, but I remembered her from that.
I just think she brings that show down to earth. And I love the show. I definitely had trouble getting into it. I definitely was a late bloomer. I got onto it because Netflix had it. And my older brother, who thinks he is the Karate Kid himself and looks a lot like Ralph Macchio, I might add, my older brother, Paulie, has been talking to me about the show for years now. And I just never got into it. And it's so funny because it sneaks up on you, Rachel. It's so like, it's goofy. It's over the top. But somehow it works. And the thing that I was going to say about Mrs. LaRusso is she has these great one-liners that just come into these pretty tense situations and just reminds you, like, hey, we're on planet Earth here, where we don't get into karate fights or have warring karate dojos. She's hilarious.
You know, and you're right about that, because, you know, as fans watching it, like, we're invested, and we know it's the Karate Kid, so we're expecting fights, and we're looking forward to it in a way.
Yeah.
And then she's there to remind us, hey, life isn't really like that. You can't solve everything with you know, a good bout. You know, you have to kind of bring it back down to earth, like you said. So it is interesting.
Absolutely. I have a few characters I'm not really a fan of. Do you mind if I go on a little complainy rant here about people that I'm not crazy about?
Okay.
All right. Sam LaRusso, number one. Uh, I don't know. It might be that she's just not as experienced as acting as some of the others. I think the young guys aren't either, but I think I think especially Robbie, you could see he's a little less experienced, but he pulls it off where she doesn't. She just has some awkward lines. I don't believe her fighting. I also wish she looked more like Daniel. I guess I know that's a weird, a weird critique, but I do. I'm not a fan of her. And who else? I'm not a fan of Tori.
Tori's a troublemaker, but we're not supposed to like her.
I don't think I like. That's the thing. I don't not like her as the troublemaker she is. I just don't think I like her as a character because I feel like she was brought in for the sake of having the anti-Sam. Does that make sense? Like I feel like it was just for no reason.
You know what though? I really feel, my husband and I were talking about this. I really think that they should try to tie her in somehow, whether she's Crease's daughter, Terry Silver's daughter, pull her in somehow, make her part of the history. I think that would really kind of help.
I think she's Terry Silver's daughter, or daughter or granddaughter, maybe.
Yeah, either. Yeah, I think that would really help with the character.
There was something suspicious about her overall. It was
There
weird that
is.
weird the way she came in. I just and also the fight scene at the end, which was either ridiculous or fantastic, depending on who you're asking. Um, but I mean, I liked it. I thought it was fun. You just got to accept, like, where are the teachers in this high school 15-minute fight scene that they're having at the end of season 2? Yes, I do think I think she's related to Silver. I do think there's a reason why she's in there, but I just feel like in 2020, in this day and age, to go on a school loudspeaker and threaten somebody's life, and I believe she threatened her life, and then they go and meet in the spot that she says to meet her at, and then they start killing each other. All like 15 kids are killing each other. Not one teacher. And I just feel as if in this day and age, the cops would be there extremely fast. And I don't think any kind of a major brawl at a school that involves half the school would go on for as long as it did. But I don't know. How do you feel about that scene?
Okay. I have two sides with that. Part of me is really, I love it. Very action packed. It was choreographed very well. I think that everybody did an amazing job with it, and it was fun to watch, kind of like, a good hockey fight. But at the same time, it kind of reminded me of Family Guy when Peter fights with the chicken and they just kind of roll off screen and fight into the next scenario. That's kind of reminded me of.
Yes. Oh my God. That is 100%. You hit the nail on the head. That's exactly what it was. It's just like, geez, is this going to end? They could just keep going.
And the teachers are just in the hallway going, no, I'm not getting involved.
Yeah, right. They're not getting involved. What kind of teachers are those, Rachel? Um, I would say that was, I have the most controversy with that scene, but I think I do have a favorite scene of the first 2 seasons.
Okay.
And it's when Robbie and Miguel are fighting in the tournament, and a girl goes out to talk to the referee, and Daniel LaRusso is going to coach. And I'm just like, that made me chuckle. I love the fight. I thought it was a cool switcheroo that the bad guys won, even though, Robbie did everything he had to do. And I just loved seeing, and I'm getting chills thinking about it right now, actually, Miyagi's car at the end of that episode.
Oh.
That's, I think, one of the best parts of the show for me in general is that they really use a lot of music from the original movie. And that flute, especially, if it is a flute, that wind instrument. And it's just, I think music is the most important thing when you're trying to capture a feeling or an emotion or nostalgia, especially. So I think they really use it to their advantage. And I really love that. I would say that ending tournament scene from where Robbie rips his arm out of his socket to the end. Miguel rips Robbie's arm out of his socket to the end of the episode is probably my favorite piece of the show. How about you?
You know, I really, really enjoy all the nods to Karate Kid. Even Miguel and Sam's date, which was so much like Daniel and Allie's date.
Yeah.
The music that was actually used for Miguel and Sam's date, I believe, was somewhere in the credits for Karate Kid.
Oh, that's cool.
I want it was just like so much there to look at and go, oh my God, that's from the first film. And I just love the subtle and not so subtle nods.
Yeah. Yeah, they have some great nods, and the skeleton costume was pretty great.
That was fantastic. I loved that.
That was very cool. And I guess also the relationships in the show are interesting. If you're going to go for like a best piece of the show. I know I said Daniel's not my favorite character right now, but I got to say him and Johnny's relationship is amazing. There's something very brotherly about it. And I really want them to get there. I think they will get there by the end of the show. I think they will be very good friends. But, and it's funny because I feel the same way about Robbie and Miguel, which is interesting because they barely have any screen time together, those two.
Right.
But they're so similar in how honorable they are of people, but it's just like this conflict of fighting over Johnny's love almost.
Right. And, you know, they were almost there too. That whole episode where they're going around town together. They're at the bar. They're at Daniel's old apartment complex. You start to really see the bond between them. The bond that they have is, you know, karate, but it kind of filters out into everything else that they're doing, and you can really kind of see them connecting, and it was great to see that, you know, of course, until they get back to, you know, Daniel's house and he figures out that Robbie's been training under Daniel. Everything goes to hell, but you really do see that for a moment, and I would like to see that again.
Yeah, I want to watch the whole show again, and I really hope that those four find a way to come together, because Kreese is definitely the bad guy to worry about.
Okay, so what about this? What do you think? Kreese versus Chosen. Who do you think's coming out the winner?
Probably Chosen, in my opinion. I think Chosen was just a better fighter in general. I think he almost killed Daniel. And I think it's more part of their culture overall, because he seemed to be studying his whole life, where Daniel picked it up like that year, maybe. And I think Kreese is all washed up. But it's funny. I wasn't crazy about Kreese's role or his characterization in this, although I like him better now that I've seen that commercial that's been spinning around lately with Koala Kai.
I have not seen that.
Oh, Rachel, it's hilarious. He's just Kreese in this commercial, and he's like stopping his students. He's like, "Hey, wait, support the leg," or "More mercy." And he's like, "Now that I have QuickBooks, I opened up Koala Kai."
Get out. I've got to track this down. That's hilarious.
You have to watch this as soon as we're done talking, because it has made me like totally do a turnaround on how much I'm like, okay, Kreese could be on the show forever, and I will enjoy it because it is hilarious, Rachel. I forget I feel like it's Peacock or Hulu. I've been seeing it on a lot. I'm not sure which one. Definitely not Netflix.
I'll check it out. And do you know they have a video game out now?
They have a video game out?
Yeah, it's called Cobra Kai. I've got to track it down. I've got to get it. I've got to start playing it. I've just kind of found out about this. I'm kind of behind in my video game news. But I found out about it, so I'm gonna go get it. I'm gonna play it.
Good. I want to hear that.
I'm gonna play it.
Do you think there's anything they could have done better with the show so far, or that you want to see them do better in the third season?
My biggest pet peeve with the show, although done very well, and I really do enjoy it so much, there's not much better in my eyes that they could do, but Anthony. this kid, I know he was kind of brought in as kind of like the antithesis of, proper Karate Kid training, because he doesn't want anything to do with any of that. He's like the opposite of Sam, but they're not doing anything with him. All he does,
I,
you see him with a phone, you see him with his tablet, you see him with whatever, and he's tuned out. And it's almost like they don't know what to do with him. Now that they've introduced him as that kind of a character, what do you do with him in the middle of all this?
I would say I kind of hope he just disappears.
They pull a Chuck Brady, I know Chuck Cunningham.
Yes, give him the Chuck Cunningham, cousin Oliver Morgan Matthews treatment, except don't bring him back. And I just think he's like such. I know they wanted to have that kind of ratty younger brother, or I'm not sure what they were going for, but I just think they wanted to have more full family. And he's almost like you could have a cardboard cutout that's less annoying and serve just as much of a purpose as that kid is serving. I hope he's not going to have a bigger role. I don't think he'll have a bigger role. I think there's a big ensemble already. I just think I totally agree with you. Totally agree. I'm not crazy about that kid. Not his fault, but there's no purpose in writing him into the story.
I think Chosen could show him a thing or two.
Oh, God, I don't like that. I really think he probably will. I wouldn't be surprised if they axed him for the show. They're axing Samantha's friend, the girl with the glasses, and I don't even remember her name.
The one that went to Cobra Kai?
The one who was the second one to go to. Yep, she's not in the third season apparently.
Wow.
I don't like that.
I don't like that because I like her.
I like her too, and I think maybe some people found her annoying a little bit, or maybe she's not as traditional looking for, being in a show like this, and especially with Tori there now, I wonder if there's they want to focus more on her as the bad girl. But I don't like that they did that. I think that's a little bit shallow of them to remove her. And I think she was just a strong enough character in both seasons that completely to stay on. I don't know why they're doing it.
It's 2020. And if that is really the reason why they would not have her back this season, then shame on them. Because she is great. I really like her. I like her character. So if that's true, then shame on them.
I even said watching the show, I'm like, this is really cool to see this character because I don't think we've seen this character in this main role before and being painted in such a fair light. And I feel bad that I don't remember her name because I don't think it really adds to our argument here that she should be saved. But I don't like that.
If I remember correctly, her name is Nicole Brown, but somebody could correct me if I'm wrong, please. Yeah, I really like her. That would be a shameful thing to do to her.
Yeah, I agree with you. What do you think? Having said that, what do you think we're going to see for the third season?
Oh boy! Well, you keep hearing about the supposed backstory on Miyagi and something from his past. So, looks like Daniel might be going to Japan. Will he run into Chosen there? Will Chosen immediately want to try to kill him again, or has he been reformed and wants to show Daniel something? I don't know. Is Ali going to come back in and be in Johnny's life again? There's so much.
I think she's definitely coming back. 100% Allie's coming back. I think she'll be a nurse of some sort for Miguel.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because I'm pretty sure she works in healthcare. And Miguel needs healthcare because of the back injury. So I think she'll be in through that. We saw her accept the friend request. I really think she's a shoo-in. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Terry Silver as well. I'm so curious of what they have to tell us about Miyagi, and I think that's a dangerous place to go.
It is, because I don't want anything about Mr. Miyagi to be ruined. You know, don't. I wonder if they're gonna tell us that he had a brief period where his form of karate wasn't so pure. You know, where he did go on the offensive, and I
Maybe
just
some,
worry that they're gonna like ruin Mr. Miyagi in our minds.
yeah. I think it's a risky thing to ever go back to change details about a character that you've already know, like retconning major things. And I'm a fan of what's going on with retcons lately and how they're cutting back a few sequels into a movie. And, you know, like, why not? Because so many movie franchises were so seriously hurt by a bad sequel, not knowing when to stop. Um, but I think this is a different kind where we're getting a character who's not only the character's gone, but the actor's also gone. So I
Right.
think it's very important for them to get that right and really honor the man who made this iconic immortal role of Mr. Miyagi. Well, not immortal because he did die in the show, but um,
Immortal in our hearts.
immortal in our hearts. And I really think I'm worried about it, but I hope it's something that just makes him closer to Daniel, or like there's some sort of fact you learn about his relationship with Daniel that makes him more special. That's something I can go for. I think we're getting Allie. I think we're getting Terry Silver, and I I'm really worried about. It's not so much a prediction as like this is gonna happen. I'm really worried about the third fight between Miguel and Robbie.
Well, I mean, that would be a long time coming because Miguel's got some issues to work through right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he'll be back into fighting form right away. But yeah, that's something even into season 4 to be concerned about.
I don't want them to fight again because they're, like I said in the beginning of this, they're both such great characters. And I'm concerned that if they do one, I mean, it was so brutal before. And the
Right.
Karate Kid is not a show also that shies away from brutal stuff too, which has been a thing that's true for the series of movies as well as the show, and I think that translates well. But because of that, I am worried about our two favorite characters duking it out for a third time. Because, I mean, like I said, Chosen very nearly killed Daniel. If they went with that level of ferociousness, I'd be worried for our two main guys. And I want them both to be good characters and on the same team.
Right, right, and you know, as far as Mrs. LaRusso goes, this has been her point all along. You know, people are going to get hurt. It's, you know, growing out of the karate stuff. It's not actual life. And here we have a boy who's now very seriously injured because of karate. Not that I want to put down karate at all, but the way that they have been taught has been very screwed up.
Maybe they'll start doing kung fu
Maybe.
or aikido to push everyone's force back on them. Also, I mean, Kreese took over the dojo, so he's got Hawk, he's got Tori. I think Hawk's going to go down a dark road. I'm really curious of what Miguel's going to do. I can't definitely say that he's going to be good or bad. I'm curious to see where Miguel goes when he wakes up from his little coma that he's in right now, because we do have this establishment of a new Cobra Kai squad who's definitely out to get the good guys again. And like we said earlier, he showed mercy to Robbie and he paid the price. So I think it's a really good toss up right now on where Miguel is going to end up when he wakes up. Definitely very curious though.
You know, I agree. Where they left off is definitely, it was definitely a cliffhanger for sure. And I can't wait to get back into it in January. I want to see how Kreese's new brood is going to just handle things, what they're going to do. I'm very interested to see. I'm hoping Miguel makes it and that he recovers and that he's not he's not paralyzed or whatever. I just hope that he makes it. I want Robbie to be in a good place. I just want everybody to be in a good place, but then there wouldn't be a show. So there has to be drama.
True, but I think what we'll probably see, if my hopes and dreams get answered, I think we'll see Robbie, Miguel, Daniel, and Johnny working together, and I'd like to see all four of them go to Okinawa together to train against this new threat.
Right. Maybe Chosen will help them, give them some pointers on what to do when they get back and handle Kreese's crew.
I think so,
But
Rachel.
I'm really, really, I don't know if you could probably tell because I've been talking about Chosen a lot, but I'm really, really excited to see Chosen. I know that he's a bad guy, but I'm just excited to see him again. I'm excited that he's coming back, but I don't know how I want him to be. Am I going to be disappointed if he's good? Am I going to be disappointed if he's bad? I think I'm going to love him either way.
I don't know what he's going to come back as. He was such a bad guy, Rachel. How could he be good? I don't know. The show is all about second chances and really kind of digging deeper into somebody. And I don't think it's fair of us to assume Chosen, or fair of me, because you're assuming great things. But I don't think it's fair of me to assume Chosen is necessarily going to be automatically evil.
I don't know. I mean, he lost everything at the end of Karate Kid 2. So, I mean, he could have come away from that going, okay, I really need to change things, or he's going to be angrier than ever. I guess we'll have to just wait and see.
We'll see. We'll see. Well, I think that's it for me. Okay, so we're fast forwarding here. We're jumping into the future mostly because I am not the best scheduler and we didn't beat the January deadline of Cobra Kai coming out. But I'm also really excited that this happened because I love Cobra Kai and I'm so excited to have watched season 3. Rachel, I'm already almost through it a second time. I think my older brothers watched it 4 or 5 times. Crazy. So what did you think? What's your initial thoughts to Cobra Kai season 3?
Well, we were 2 days behind in the binging because we went back and we watched seasons 1 and 2 again. And I'm glad that we did because it just kind of refreshed us and we were able to just like laugh at some of the same stuff over again and be mad at the same places. So I'm really glad we did that. So we finished up on Sunday and we loved it. I do have a couple of small complaints. Small complaints, but they were nothing that took away from my enjoyment of season 3. I thought it was beautifully done and we loved it very much.
My initial thoughts are also just absolutely loved it. I thought I just liked the way the story progressed because where I thought season 2 was kind of getting a little wild right at the end there, with especially that huge school fight. I like the gravity of that fight and how the impact of that fight's like staying the entire 3rd season. And it's kind of cool knowing they had a plan for that. I definitely agree. There's like 1 or 2 things I was kind of like a little upset about regarding the season. But for the most part, I don't think there was anything that made me like, if I was giving it a Joey Tomato score. Joey Tomatoes, is that a thing? Joey Bag.
It can be. I think it should be.
The Joey Tomato score. I would put it up there in the 90s. I really loved it. And you know what? I get it's cheesy, but it's perfectly cheesy.
It is. I think the complaints I had were, rather small, but it just kind of, okay. One of my biggest things was the way they handled Tori. And of course the way they handled Sam too. That's a bigger complaint for me. But as we discussed not too long ago, Sam makes the comment about how a girl can't be tough without being seen as crazy. And I thought that was an excellent point because that is absolutely true. If you're a tough girl, you're either a tomboy or you're crazy. And it's completely unfair, but it's absolutely true. Yet when they do Peter Griffin Chicken Fight Part 2 at the LaRusso's, which, face it, that's what it was, just another chicken fight.
Yeah.
And Tori finds Sam in the dojo. She does the crazy thing. She's got the crazy little head tilt, her eyes go bigger, she's got her lip curled, and it's like she's psychotic.
Yeah.
And so I thought they took this. I mean, granted, Tori's a wild child. We've known that since she first came on. She's got a bit of a wild streak in her, and maybe is not 100% right up there. But they really kind of took her out of tough girl mode and kind of made her psycho. And I thought that was like really unfair to her character.
I agree with that. I kind of feel like they make her almost unrealistically bad. And that's the difference. And I think that they highlight it themselves because the show is really good at gray characters. And like great, I mean gray, like gray color, because all of them have good and bad. Every single one of them. And they even give you a lot of Kreese's past life, which I enjoyed. I did not need, but it was like, fine. Just because I don't want to focus on Kreese too much because I have so much, I have 30 years of hate built up against Kreese and everything he's done to my heroes. But yeah, I just I feel like they made it so Tori's almost like full bad guy, and I feel like they tried to like kind of preface it with she has the sick mother and she's on hard times and stuff like that. But I just thought it was a little bit too evil villainy. I completely agree with you. She was that crazy girl. It was almost like a little wooden.
It was very mustache twirling villain. And I really, really felt like that was a disservice to Tori's character to give her that psycho mode.
I don't like Tori that much, honestly.
It's almost like I'm sorry, go ahead.
I don't like they brought her in. I just feel like we had Aisha. We didn't. I shouldn't say that because it is cool that there's definitely a larger ratio of men to women in the show. And I think it is cool that we definitely got more women on the show and Tori. But I just feel like my main complaint was cutting Aisha out because something about her really made me like the show because she's not a traditional movie star looking person. And she was just phenomenal. And some people are saying like her acting wasn't that great, but it's like, yeah, well, I don't think all of the kids have the best acting yet. I think Sam LaRusso she's not my favorite actress, but they're all kids. They're all real kids, which I enjoy that too. So like give them their time to grow but I didn't like that Aisha was cut out of the season. I don't know why they did it. They're saying like they're going to bring her back, but I feel like they're kind of backpedaling now. And they're like, oh, we cut a character because we replaced her with Tori and the fans are like, where is she? Because people identified with her.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And they absolutely shouldn't have cut her out. And you're right. They backpedaled because now they're going, oh, we have all these characters that we took out and that we've put them back in. So there's nothing saying that we can't put her back in at some point. That's the way our characters go. Don't backpedal like that. You took her out, I don't like it. I mean, they gave us Louis back and that wasn't really necessary, even though he is funny.
I thought insult to injury too, bringing back Yasmin is her name.
Yes.
I like her a lot. I like her story. I thought her and Dimitri were actually really sweet the whole season. But I ironically thought, so you cut Aisha and you show sympathy to the girl who was cyberbullying her because she got a front wedgie from her. Yeah, totally not cool. However, it's like I just thought that was interesting. Like you focus more on the mean, pretty bully and you completely cut her out. And you almost made it seem like Aisha was the bully. I don't know. I thought that was a little bit weird. And I don't think it's the show. I think it's the producers. I think it might be a little bit of Netflix because the show started on YouTube and it had these quote unquote losers on the show. So I think Netflix is trying to polish it a little bit, but I think the reason why people fell in love with it so hard was because of what YouTube created.
Right. And it's a shame that they took her out. And I don't know. I didn't necessarily enjoy seeing Yasmin again. I like that she's kind of changed her tune at least a little bit.
Yeah, she's
And
sweet.
definitely as far as Dimitri is concerned, I thought that was pretty funny. Um, I, I'm having a big problem with Sam,
I'm
you
having
know. And what they're doing with Tori too is they're making her look like she has absolutely no reason to be angry with Sam, and so she's just this psycho witch, looking for a good fight. And that's not true. When you think back to when Tori first came in, yes, Sam caught her with the vodka bottle. So Tori does have a little bit of thieving problems. But then Sam accused her of stealing Amanda's wallet. And when it was found out that it wasn't Tori, that it was, Robbie's loser friends, she never went to apologize to Tori.
No, she didn't. She should have.
And she should have. So some of this is on Sam too, but they don't have to make Sam look like the goody goody and Tori's the evil psychotic witch.
Yeah, I also think it's interesting how they're handling Sam and Tori versus Robbie and Miguel, because they're both like the same rivalry level, I suppose. But it's almost like you root for both Robbie and Miguel. You don't root for Tori, and you have a hard time rooting for Sam because they're not writing women that well. Aside from, I shouldn't say that. They're writing some women well because I think Ali was great. I think Amanda LaRusso is great. I think Aisha is great. And what's the girlfriend from this Karate Kid 2?
Kumiko.
Miko. I think she was also really awesome to have in there. But I don't know. There's some weird dynamic going on with Sam and Tori. I don't think they know what to do with Sam, and I think that's why they brought in Tori. And it's really strange. Like they're in unfamiliar territory, and I think they're confused on what to do with it. I think the Robbie Miguel stuff is great. I am heartbroken by Robbie. I
Yep.
by both of them. And it's so funny because they're both my favorite characters, and they hate each other, and it's just like you guys would be great friends, and it's just like just look at your teachers. They're you don't repeat the 40-year grudge they have,
Right.
and it's kind of funny to me because it's like with Johnny now dating Miguel's mother, they're pretty much on track to be brothers. And I kind of thought that was funny too because I'm like they remind me of like two like a Cain and Abel kind of story, like two brothers who are fighting for their father's love, and it's like because that's all it is. And I'm just like I hope Robbie gets out of there. I don't like that he went Cobra Kai at the end, and it's so funny because him and Miguel, like it's like the teams just switched.
Right. Yep. I mean, I tell you though, some things that they absolutely did right. Allie,
Allie was,
bringing Allie in, I loved how it wasn't just an easy flow at first. She meets Johnny at the diner, and it's very awkward between them.
yeah,
And that's how it would be between people who haven't seen each other in that long. Um, so I thought they did that really well. I do like that they kind of redeemed Allie a bit because Karate Kid 2 makes it seem like Allie just, after all this trouble, went and ditched him for a football player. When you find out that really it was kind of Daniel kind
mm-hmm.
of assuming things and jumping the gun, and Allie kind of she admits she egged it on. So I'm not a big fan of retconning usually, but I think that it was nice that they kind of gave her a little redemption. I
Yeah.
did tear up. I will admit that I teared up when I saw Kumiko
Oh, me too.
and saw that reunion. I thought that was just absolutely wonderful. That whole episode was done so well. I think that's probably maybe my favorite of the whole season.
Yeah, that was very special. They some the flashbacks they use in the show work really well. I think the Karate Kid Part 3 flashback was a stretch and they could have used it at a different time. I don't think they needed to make that comparison. But everything with the Karate Kid Part 2 flashbacks, seeing him Kamiko and their adventures as kids, and it was just like very touching. And Chosen was great. I'm
Oh, he was amazing. He was
so
amazing.
glad they went the direction with him that they did, because they couldn't do another Johnny thing.
No, no. And him laughing at Daniel after he pulls the honk stunt, that was gold. That was great. And he's a great actor, and to have him come back and then another closure. I mean, that whole episode was closure, and that's what fans of Karate Kid 2 really needed.
Yeah, and it was left open, like, oh, so whatever happened to him. And I love how he said he felt great shame, and that Sato forgave him eventually and still taught him, because he's still his father figure, And I just loved everything about that episode. I love the dancing. I love the note from Mr. Miyagi, and I love how he's talking about Daniel, and it wasn't like a note that he had written to Daniel. I think the only thing I didn't like about that was maybe the reasoning for him to be there. I thought was silly. I don't like anything with a car dealership. I just wish they'd kind of cut that out, because I think he could have also just gone there to kind of like find some peace, or like to figure things out after all this had gone down. And I don't think they needed to tie in the car dealership. And I also think, and I know we talked about this the other day, the bell tower girl, as great as it was to see her, at the same time, like, man, that's a real stretch, isn't it? She just happens to be the VP of business for that same company that he came to visit in Japan.
She's the MacGuffin that propelled the story forward,
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. And I don't know, cool to see her still. I think we could have seen that character and have it just been like, this is what's her name from The Village, and like, oh my god. In the same vein as that, I also think they wrote Allie in really well. I thought she might be Miguel's doctor, and I kind of thought about that more and thought it might be a little cheesy. And I'm glad that wasn't the case. I'm glad she didn't end up staying, because she was still closed. She came in, she just closed up that for both of them, and it's kind of funny because it takes away, because it's the same things I say about Robbie and Miguel being like brothers fighting for attention. It's the same thing as Daniel and Johnny, like they're best friends, but they just don't want to admit it.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm sitting here yelling at Johnny the whole time, going, "What, are you nuts? You've got Carmen that you've just developed this relationship with, and now you're going to chase after Allie." But I'm glad it turned out to be more about closure, and he starts to see that instead of looking at Allie like a perspective, let's do over, let's reignite this, let's rekindle this. It becomes, okay, this is closure. I'm seeing through Allie now my mistakes and see who I really want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I do also now see, the whole season was basically set up for what's to come, really.
Yeah, really cool.
And Silver should be coming along shortly.
Terry Silver is coming along. It looks like that jerk, the ponytail.
Well, the thing is that it was so funny because that was like a total red herring. You see the guy with the slick back hair and the ponytail, and you're assuming that that's Silver.
Yeah.
And then you realize that that's not Silver. Twig is Silver. And then after everything that has happened, he kind of like adopted Ponytail's look, probably in, homage to him, kind of took on that persona. So that was a nice little red herring. So you didn't, wasn't right out there, but.
Funny that the Kreese is bringing in his adult friend back to pick on kids again.
That's hilarious, but that's a Kreese thing. He sees this as a war. He doesn't care about children. Children are just going to be casualty in this. He has to win no matter what the cost.
I think we have to talk, and I don't think we can keep it going too long now thinking about it, because we already have a good chat about this whole show as it is, which I think we'll have to go back to for a season 4 discussion for a future episode.
Absolutely.
But in my opinion, MVP of the whole season is my man Hawk.
I agree. I totally agree. Jacob Bertrand is a delight, and I love this kid.
I feel the same way. I watched an interview with him on Instagram yesterday, and he is just friggin' delightful. And I actually got a little bit emotional watching the interview because he's talking about that scene where he fights his bully. And I love that scene. It was awesome, really cool. Shooting, cut, everything was fantastic. And I love when Kreese starts to say, finish him, and he doesn't even let him finish saying that. He's just like, attacking him. But the kid was saying, Jacob, the actor, was saying in an interview yesterday, like he was bullied as a kid, and he really felt like a lot of anger like come out in that scene. And I was like, oh, I could feel that a little bit. Like you did a really good job with that scene, and it's just.
I will have to track down that interview. I have not seen that one yet. What I enjoyed about that was that here's Hawk. How many times in your life are you put in a room and given permission to take down your bully? I mean,
yeah.
that's a powerful moment. And for Hawk, this was huge. And it also, of course, leads to for things to come. And now we're seeing Eli again.
Yeah.
We're starting to see Eli. I mean, although he'll never truly be Eli again, he's always going to have that Hawk persona. He's a badass now. But I'm glad they're redeeming him a bit.
Yeah, it was really, because you saw it on his face through a lot of the season. Like he doesn't like that people are getting cut for whatever reasons they're getting cut, and he's changing everything. He's inviting his bullies to come, and it's not what Cobra Kai was to him. And on top of that, he hurt his best friend. He broke his arm, and you see him like hesitate before he does it, and like you see him regret it after. And it's just like why'd you do that to him? The kid barely ever did anything. He kicked you into a trophy case, but you were beating the crap out of him for like a whole season.
I mean, you're being told no mercy, show no mercy, show no mercy. And I think that was the point where he finally realized what showing no mercy means. What you can fantasize about it in your head. Yeah, no mercy, whatever. And don't let your opponent win. But then when this is your best friend and you actually cross that line and you don't show mercy and you totally do what you did, that was just like a wake-up call to him.
Yeah. I wonder if he'll have a blue mohawk because of it.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, maybe he'll cool down with the blue.
Well, I think like the blue, they was still good, and I feel like it's also like red. I feel like is a color for Cobra Kai. Like I think they associate that with them. Like when Robbie and Miguel are fighting in the school fight, they're very clearly wearing like opposing colors, like almost to the point of like it's like the exact opposite, like a program that picks the exact opposite complementary color in the color wheel. It's like I bet you somebody had a job on that season who picked that exact color.
Well, we're also going on the themes of ice and fire. With the demonstration, they have the fire for Cobra Kai and the ice for Miyagi-Do, and it's a very distinct. So I think they just kind of like carry the theme: red, hot, blue, cold.
And they keep doing it too, with Johnny setting him on fire to have him stand up, and Daniel with the, the refrigerator training and the ice tray at the. But yeah, it is fire, and that'd be kind of a really cool dojo name for them.
Well, definitely better than Eagle Fang, because that's just Johnny. I'm going Johnny, really.
I would hate for Miyagi-Do to disappear or not have the same name anymore, but that'd be kind of a cool thing to call it, like Fire and Ice Dojo or something like that, or just because they are fire and ice, and it's cool balance between them. But I think Hawk overall my MVP of the season. I also really enjoyed Dimitri a lot this season. Really, really love him. I almost think they wrote him poorly in the first two seasons or made him annoying on purpose so that way you can like him in the future.
Right.
I think, Dimitri's really cool. I like him a lot.
Yeah.
Well, I think we should time travel back into the end of our podcast from when we first did this. So if you're listening to this, we are just going to cut back in as if we never left. But thank you so much for listening to our continuation chat about Cobra Kai Season 3. And we are very excited to host a new episode eventually in the future on Season 4. Tell us what you think in the comments. And Rachel, do you have anything to add before we close that out?
I think so. Definitely, if you enjoyed what you've heard here today, give us a big thumbs up and join in on the discussion by leaving a comment. And while you're at it, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you won't miss new episodes.
What are we talking about next week, Rachel?
I think we're talking about, it was the BFF battle.
The first Joey versus Rachel battle?
Yes.
Well, next week, next week we're going to be talking about doing our first Joey versus Rachel battle of the podcast, where we are going to be discussing the 80s versus the 90s, and we will defend ours until the end. But yeah, very excited.
Take you to court.
So I'll take you out of court with alimony. There you go. The 90s is going to take it to you, Rachel.
You're paying court fees.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us today, and have a wonderful evening. This has been Good Things to Watch with Joey and Rachel.
See you next time.